This is the House of Hockey podcast on the Hockey Podcast Network. Hockey is more than a game, it's a lifestyle. It's you, the diehard supportive fans, your favorite players who are on the team you cheer for and the organization who supports them.
The companies that make your gear, bags, and beer league sweaters. The hockey moms and hockey dads and everything else that makes this House of Hockey your home. Come on in. I'm Breezy.
And I'm Rae Rae.
And this is our house. Welcome to the House of Hockey podcast, hosted by the Hockey Podcast Network. I am your host, Breezy.
And I'm your host, Rae Rae. And this is episode 27. Episode
27.
Who cares what episode number it is? You're just like, new content. We want to hear what you have to say. What's going on the podcast this week, ladies? Just get to the point.
Yep. Well, that's on the podcast. It's Rae Rae's Neighbors. Yeah. Which sounds kind of cheesy, but it's not.
No, it's pretty incredible.
It's pretty cool, actually. She lives next to some of the girls on the UNE women's hockey team. So, I guess it's technically her aunt who lives next to them. But she's like living there pretty much all summer long. So it is her neighbors. And you can hear the story. I think you actually should tell the story about how you met them.
Sure.
I mean, we go over in the podcast, but I think that you should kind of preamp them up. So
I will. And the girls told the story much kinder than it actually happened because I totally accosted them. We were coming home. So I'm staying in Maine, like Breezy said, for the summer at my aunt's house. And we had pulled into the driveway and I saw in the rearview mirror, there's a shared driveway, and the girls who live next door had pulled in to get dropped off. And I saw them all with skates in their hands with hockey laces in the rearview mirror. And I have hockey radar all the time on my brain. And I flung open the door and I was like, do you guys play hockey? And they were like, yeah. For UNE, the school here? Yeah. I have a podcast. It's like a real podcast. Could you come on the podcast and can we do an interview with you? They were like, sure. And then I went, wait, could you teach me how to skate? And they were like, I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, yeah. And I was like, okay, we're going to do all this. Can I have your phone number or your social media or whatever you feel comfortable giving me? I know you probably think I'm this crazy lady, but they did it. Even though they probably think I'm nuts, they came on the podcast. We did a whole interview with them, and it's actually really good. It's really interesting to hear about the women's side of the sport, which we've talked about many times on the podcast, and to hear it from the collegiate level, what the challenges are for them and just how different it is compared to the men's collegiate level, where, their goals are very different than the women's goals, and how much more work needs to be done to really grow the female side of the professional ice hockey sport.
Yeah, and not literal goals like the ones you score, like the ones you strive to get to.
Exactly. And we talked about how they got into the sport, which was also really interesting, and it's just so different. It's such a different experience than what the boys are stories are. So
yeah, and it's cool because we have 3 different positions. We have a goalie, a defenseman, and a forward, which we've never had on the podcast before at the same time. So yeah, it was really it was cool. It was really interesting, and I think everyone's gonna like it. So Stay tuned for that.
Yes. And I am going to put you on the spot, Breezy, because...
Me?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Because this is a conversation you and I had at the beginning of the hockey playoffs. And I have forgotten to bring it up, and I am not going to forget.
My eyes are watering right now thinking about what you're about to ask me.
I think you need to tell everybody who your new hockey crush is.
I mean, it's always going to be Roman. Let's just be real.
I know, but the new one, like my new one is Matt Barzal, and I'm okay admitting that. And you have a new hockey crush, and we need to discuss this.
You know, I just got a thing for Matthew Tkachuk. I don't know what it is. I know I shouldn't. I know it's sacrilegious being a Kings fan to like Matthew Tkachuk, but man, something about him, maybe it's his baby blues, maybe it's his bad boy personality. I don't know. He's gritty. He gets in there. I like his smile. He's got a funny smile. I like it. So, Matthew Tkachuk. Yep, that's him. I like him.
Yep. Oh, I'm just so glad you finally admitted that publicly.
Oh, jeez. I'm going to get destroyed. I'm going to get DMs saying that I suck. No, just kidding.
No, you're not. You're going to get a lot of people going, oh, actually, he looks pretty good.
Actually, you're right. He is yeah, exactly.
He's aging nicely. I think sometimes
he is.
Yeah, those younger guys, when they first get in the league, you know, they've got a little growing to do, and I think some men age better.
Yeah, you know who else aged really nicely?
Who?
Connor McDavid.
Yes, he did age nicely.
I mean, he's still aging. Let's be real about that. He's still aging, but he's come a long way.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah,
he has. So. And Matt Barzal,
he's going backwards by getting hit in the face 3 times in a row.
Can I tell you though, I was even more attracted to him with his busted face.
Oh, it's good. Oh, yeah, it's good. Yeah,
it's good. And like the hair, he like ran his fingers through his hair and his eyes all black and stitched up, and I was like, yep, check that box.
Big fan.
Big fan.
Big fan.
Kind of a cougar, but that's okay.
That's okay. Some guys are into that.
Yeah.
Some guys are into that.
And then to hear Patrick Sharp on NBC Sports talking about Barzal and how much of a hockey guy he was. I was like, these are my 2 dream boys, and my one dream hockey guy is totally crushing kind of on Barzal and talking about what a gorgeous flow he's got. And I was like, I'm in heaven. Hockey is amazing. This is beautiful.
I can die happy. Thank you.
That might just be my favorite moment of the hockey playoffs. Sharpie talking about Barzal. My 2 boys.
All right. Well, speaking of the playoffs, what are you thinking so far?
Holy moly. That's what I'm thinking. Because
that's what I'm thinking too.
What? It's such a cluster. Every game, you never know what's going to happen. They're completely unpredictable.
Well, that's the fun of playoffs, because that's literally what happens every time. But I feel like this time it's a little bit more like, whoa.
Oh, yeah. Way more drastic. I was watching the Stars and Knights game, and I can't believe the Stars are leading the series. I mean, by the time we're recording this and you're listening to this, there's a chance they could clinch the series and be in the Stanley Cup playoffs, which I can't even believe those are going to be possible words coming out of my mouth.
Right.
And the Islanders, man, I really had a lot more faith in them. I thought they were going to be a little bit stronger against the Lightning. And I think their emotions are getting the better of them, because you can see it on the ice, and you can see it when they're in the bench, like on the bench, and they're how badly they want it and how hard they're playing. I think the mental side is getting the better of them as opposed to the Lightning. But skill level, I don't know. I don't know that. I think it's well matched. What are you thinking?
I agree with you on that side of things. I think Tampa is the better team, but they are surprising me because they are down, a couple of their big guys, and surprising. It is surprising, but I think they have a lot of good players on their team. Not to say that the Islanders don't, but a lot of I feel like the Islanders don't have, and I think we've talked about this before, they don't have like standout names other than like Barzal. So with the Lightning, they have so many standout names, and I think there's a reason for that, obviously. But I mean, I think the Islanders want it more.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think they're able to match them up. Maybe, I don't know. That's the wrong words. But as far as Dallas and Vegas goes, I think I think Jamie Benn is lighting a fire under everyone's butts.
Yes.
Joe Pavelski is having way more fun in this playoff round than he has ever had with being with the Sharks. And I'm sorry to all of our guests who have been Sharks fans who love Joe and any Sharks fan that's listening right now, but Joe is thriving in Dallas. I feel like you're seeing a completely different game out of him. I think he's being a little bit more gritty, visiting the box maybe a little bit more, which I like. But Vegas, they're just like crumbling under themselves, and there's no reason for it. But I think Vegas their backs are against the wall, and I think that it's going to go to a game 7. I think that Vegas is going to come back and be like, no, we're not letting this happen. So,
all right. I don't know, man. I don't know if they have it. I think I'm getting the feeling with Vegas, based on all of the drama we've seen on the Twitter with Marc-Andre Fleury's agent and the coach, DeBoer, and I'm getting the feeling that there might be some inconsistencies happening with the coach and the leaders of the team. And I think there's stuff going on behind closed doors that we might not know about that is coming out in the play on the ice. Because, I mean, they were playing much better and with more energy when they played the Blackhawks in the first round. And it's just been a really bad decline. And I think the mental aspect for the Knights is affecting them as well. Like I don't know that it's that they really want to win the cup, but I think whatever's happening off ice is playing out on ice for them. And I don't think it actually has anything to do with their drive or will to win the Stanley Cup like the Islanders. Like you can see the Islanders are frustrated and they want it, and they are just doing everything in their power on the ice to make that happen, and it's not happening, and they're making some mistakes, and they're penalties are being called and things like that. But that's my sixth sense.
I agree. I think
perception.
This series in particular, you can definitely see a change in the way that the Knights are playing, and I think that you hit the nail on the head with that one. I agree with you.
And also with the UNE hockey team.
I was going to say, did you like run over there and ambush them at their house and say, your episode's coming out?
No, I didn't, but I am going to text her. I didn't want to go knock on the door. And they were having they were having friends over. So we don't want to get anybody in trouble. And I was like, I wonder if it would be weird if I went over there and hung out. And I was like, yes, Rachel, that would be very weird if you just went over there and was like, can I hang out with you guys? So I didn't do that, but I do fully intend to have one of the girls, Katie, who was the most voluntary, to teach me to skate on the ice. So that is happening. So that's a little update on my hockey learning to play situation. So you'll hear more about that on the episode, but that's happening. And we've teased a little bit on our social media, for those of you who are listening and follow House of Hockey Podcast on social media, that we're making some merch for you guys.
Ooh. Yep, we are.
I think you should tell them a little bit about what we're planning to do for everybody, our loyal fan base and listeners.
Yeah, we came up with a small little collection of merch that will be available for purchase. And we also we'll be doing some giveaways too. We think that it'd be really fun. So we're going to get some stuff from our merch store and give it away to some lucky followers, and potentially, more than likely, and most definitely, we'll be teaming up with some of our past guests and maybe future guests to collaborate and maybe do like a little like gift package to send out to some lucky people. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Sorry, my voice is going all crazy. It's a little smoky out here still, but yeah, so we have some merch headed your way, and I don't know when it's gonna release. Maybe today when this comes out, maybe tomorrow. Maybe, who knows?
Let's just say this week. Stay tuned this week. Yes. We will make a big announcement on our Instagram and our Facebook and our Twitter. So make sure you're following us on social media if you have that, because that's where the giveaway will be happening. We'll make sure the instructions are really simple. Basically, you're going to get free merch if you do like one of two things. So it'll be easy.
Or like two of two things, maybe two of three things, or three of three things. I don't know.
Oh, Breezy.
Depends on who we collaborate with. We could have some good stuff coming.
That is true. That is true. And so stay tuned for that. I think you're going to like the stuff we designed, because it's not just our logo. It's actually got some phrases and stuff that would appeal to everybody, and will be
some stuff that we say all the time.
Let's go.
Let's go. Big fan. Yeah.
I'm excited about that. I already know what I want to buy for myself. So there's that, because there's been, the lack of merch for hockey that's not team specific or that doesn't say hockey mom is so limited. And there's stuff I want as a fan that's not just Blackhawks or Kings or, any of your teams, which I think people will be excited about.
Yeah.
Before we get into the interview, I do want to ask, how are you doing with the wildfires? I feel like you should give everybody a little bit of an update, because I know not everybody listening lives in California, and they don't fully understand how that, they hear Los Angeles and California, and I'm sure people are wondering how you're doing.
Yeah, I'm good. The closest fire to me is still pretty far away. I live in the greater Los Angeles area. So, still, basically all of California is pretty much on fire up into Oregon as well. And then I believe it's going into Washington. It's going up towards the border in Canada, and there's some in Idaho and whatnot. But California and Oregon are up in flames, and the smoke is absolutely insane. I have, family up in San Francisco, the Bay Area, and the sky is just straight orange. Breathing is very difficult up there. And I believe it was, I want to say Wednesday of last week, the smoke actually rolled in and is now in the greater Los Angeles area where I live. And it came to the point where, we had, one day it was 121 degrees, and then the smoke came in and it's about 85 now. It's super cold at nighttime. The sun doesn't even come out. When I'm driving to work in the morning, I literally can look directly at the sun, and it just looks like it looks like Mars. It's just like an orange little round thing in the sky. You can just look at it. It doesn't hurt your eyes. The sun barely even, we have a couple of rays that are hitting the ground today, but it just looks like a stormy day outside, and it's crazy. It's just smoke. So it doesn't stink too bad. You get little whiffs of it here and there. We had to close up the house a couple times just because the house started to smell like smoke, which is crazy because the closest fire to me is about an hour away driving distance. Wow. I know California people always say, by hours and time when you should be doing miles, but we go off of traffic time. So, but yeah, it's about an hour away. So the fact that this general area is getting a lot of smoke and the scent and some stuff is a little crazy, but I'm doing fine. My family's fine. My brother's actually a firefighter, and he is doing fine. Hasn't been on any fires yet. He's going through some training. So, but yeah, everything is so far so good. It's just really sad to see so many people losing so many things and lives being lost, and firefighters and first responders kind of being put through the ringer. I mean, it's tough. I don't think anybody wants to see anything like this happen. But yeah, it's tough.
Yeah. So much going on in the world. And
Yeah.
it's, yeah, I mean, there's always wildfires in California, usually around this time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just getting worse and worse with the drier ground and the higher temperatures and all the things that are happening. But at least we have our escape, which is hockey and this podcast and things like that. But it's life, right? It's life. Everybody's facing something, and hopefully we can provide a little bit of light and entertainment and information and some laughs. And that's
because it's been real heavy of a year. I feel like we've had some very heavy conversations on this podcast. And so anytime we can keep it upbeat is what we like to do, and make anybody's day. So hopefully we'll have some fun here listening to the girls give us some information on their hockey careers. And yeah.
This is the part of the podcast where we let you, yes, you, hockey fans, take the mic and tell your story of interacting with an NHL player, past or present.
Hey, Breezy and Rae Rae. This is Drew. I go by Mr. Drewby on Instagram. Big Carolina Hurricanes fan. Have a story about Ron Francis. Back with our team's previous ownership, they did not want to use the Hartford Whalers likeness at all, and it was a little bit harder to find Whalers jerseys. I got a really cool Ron Francis jersey as a gift that I, of course, proudly wore to games. I had a friend at the time that worked for the Hurricanes organization, and we were meeting up with him after the game to talk, and I had somebody walk down behind me, put their arms around me, and tell me how cool my jersey was. I looked up, and it was none other than Ron Francis himself. I rarely say this, but I was absolutely starstruck. I could not believe I actually got a compliment from the man himself. I couldn't even muster up the words to ask him for a picture, and just like that, he was lost in the crowd, and I never got to see him again before he left to help start the organization in Seattle. At least I have a couple witnesses to help me with remembering the story. Otherwise, I'd probably just sound crazy. Thanks for the time. Talk to y'all later.
We'd love to hear your story if you have one of interacting with an NHL player, past or present. Just call our phone number, 323-438-2648. Tell us your name, tell us the NHL player's name and the team they play for, and then tell your story in 5 minutes or less. And you just might hear it on an upcoming episode of the podcast. You never know who is going to knock on the House of Hockey door, because this week's guests are my literal neighbors, at least while I'm in Maine. So welcome to the house. 3 of the team members of the University of New England women's hockey team, which is part of the NCAA Division III. Welcome.
Hello.
So introduce yourselves so everybody knows who you are.
I'm Jenna Pych. I'm a junior and I play defense. And I'm Katie Babineau. I'm a senior and I'm forward. I'm Julie Benjamin. I'm a senior and I'm a goalie.
Well, welcome to the house. First of all, I totally accosted you in the shared driveway the other night, and I would love to hear your version of the story, because I'm sure you were like, this lady is fucking nuts.
We were just rollerblading. We went for a rollerblade, and then we saw our neighbor, and yeah, she asked us to be in a podcast, and here we are.
Here we are. You're saying it so much nicer than it really happened.
I know. I feel like that was like a pleasant, like, encounter, but the way like Rae explained it to me, she's like, I totally like attacked these girls. I asked them if they would teach me how to rollerblade. Then I was like, wait a second. So that's funny.
It was typical dramatic Rae Rae style of like, we had pulled in, and I had like hockey radar on the brain all the time, and they pulled in behind, and I could see laces on, like hockey laces on his skate, and I was like, oh, my neighbors they're hockey players, oh my god, and I just was like, do you play hockey? Do you play for UNE? Yeah, they're like, yeah, like, is this a crazy stalker fan, or what's happening? But you said it much nicer, Katie. So why don't you guys tell us a little bit about how you all got started playing hockey individually? Like, was this, as toddlers? Did you get into ice hockey later? I'm always curious, because with women, I think it's newer, it's becoming more and more popular for women to play ice hockey, because now there are teams at schools like UNE, and the sport is growing. So for you guys, what was that beginning process of hockey like for you?
Well, I started to skate around like 5 years old, and I think my dad wanted to put my brother into hockey, and then I obviously wanted to join, so we both just learned to skate together, and now here I am. Now I just play hockey.
Yeah, I would say probably around 5 years old for myself as well. My dad coached our local high school team, so I watched all those games and wanted to play.
Wow.
Yeah, I was also like 5 or 6, but my brother is like 3 years older, and he played, so he kind of like put pads on me and then just stuck me in that, and so now I started playing goalie.
So that's how you ended up in goal. Your brother was like, someone needs to stop these pucks for me so I can practice. So here, put the little sister in.
Yeah, I actually have somewhat of a similar story. I grew up with an older brother, and my neighbor was pretty much also like my older brother, and they would play in the street, but they never had a goalie. So I was like, there's pictures of it. I think I was like 3 years old, and they wrapped me up in towels and newspapers and then duct taped me to a goalie post, and they shot pucks at me. And that was my life at 3, so kind of relatable, I guess.
That's kind of horrible, Breezy. Was that what it was like for you, Julia?
Kind of. Yeah, I really had no option.
Yeah. The older brothers, man, they're a little brutal with you. Too funny. So did you guys, you guys obviously started when you were playing young. Did you play any sort of like recreational league throughout like your growing up year? You obviously did if you're playing college hockey. Can you kind of walk us through the process of that and kind of explain it to those who may be listening who are maybe at age where they are looking to go play college hockey, or have like a son or daughter who may be wanting to play college hockey but just don't know what to do to get them to that step?
Well, I started, and I played for my town's boy league, just like our town's team. And then when I was like about 12 or 13-ish, my coaches, like, they did not like a girl on their team, so they like not really cut me, but they put me on like the lowest team, even though obviously I didn't belong there. And I was with all the people who still didn't know how to skate. So then that's when I went to a girls team finally, and I played for a lot of different teams. So
did you play like high school, like for your high school team, or like a different league? Is there different leagues?
Yeah, I did high school, and then my senior year, I did online school and I played for a juniors team, just because like my high school, I wasn't gonna get seen there, and like no one really, it wasn't that good of a team. So I went to the Cyclones in Nashua, New Hampshire, and then yeah, that's where I got recruited for here.
Kind of started the same way, playing like rec hockey when I was really young to learn, and then I think around 12 years old, I made the shift to like girls club hockey. Finally started playing on an all girls team and just kind of kept doing that, trying to find better teams until I got to high school, and then I went to a private high school to play on a girls hockey team in New Jersey because there's very few high school teams that are all girls. And then from there, I just also played on a club team, short season, and that's how I ended up here.
Yeah, I also started on boys teams, and then when I was either 12 or 13, I went to a girls team in Connecticut, and I played on a few, and then I went to prep school for high school, which is kind of how I got recruited here for prep school.
Yeah, we found that to be sort of common with some of our other female hockey playing guests, where they start playing with the boys. And I guess that was sort of, I don't know, I didn't really expect that to be the case, because when I grew up, I didn't play hockey, but I grew up playing all these other sports, and I only played with girls. Like there was girls soccer and girls basketball and like all that kind of stuff. And in the hockey world, I find it to be really different, and it's interesting to hear your perspective.
Yeah.
So what's the like level of competition and skill level of where you guys are at in the NCAA Division III? Like how competitive is collegiate hockey? Like, are you guys like really, like you have rivals, you're chirping other people? Like what is that environment like? Describe that.
I think it's definitely extremely competitive for us, at least. I know our conference is a fairly competitive conference for Division III. We definitely have a couple rivals. Those games mean a lot to us every year when they come around.
Yeah, I would say Endicott's our rival, our biggest rival.
Yeah, definitely.
And then probably
USM is like a nice local rival because they're so close. We play them pretty frequently.
I know that's probably our two biggest rivals.
Yeah. Tell us then, what is your guys' like long-term goal with hockey? Like, I feel like it's very different than the boys who play, right? Because I've actually met some of the guys on the UNE men's team last year, and they were saying how a lot of them they reached the amount of time they could play in junior and something with the age, and then like if they're not going to get into the NHL, they can go to the collegiate level, and so they're like 21 years old, and then they can still kind of try to get drafted or play professionally. But what does that look like in the women's side of things?
Well, I'm a senior, so I'd say probably men's league is where I'll be next. And I don't know, I'm an education major, so I feel like maybe one day I'll want to coach like little kids, but nothing really extreme.
Yeah. I have a coaching minor, so I guess one of my goals for hockey is eventually to like kind of run a program, like an all-girls program back where I grew up, because there's so few programs for girls there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's harder for women after college to like keep playing, like compared to men, but like I don't really see myself playing like a lot competitively after, because I mean I want to get a job and like but use those skills towards my job, because like I want to do something with exercise science, so like learning all like about what you need to be an athlete and that stuff helps obviously in the real world.
Did you ever want to have play for Team USA in the Olympics or anything like that, or was that something that you kind of thought, yeah, this is like way too far out for me to even try to do? Or was there a point in your life where you're like, I'm never going to be able to get to that part because I am a female hockey player?
Well, yeah, I definitely would enjoy if I can make it that far, but I just feel like, I don't know, I'd either need to go D1 or something to actually get recruited to be anywhere close to that.
Yeah.
And I feel like they don't look at people who play D3 besides a couple players, but I don't see myself going that far.
Yeah, I think everybody kind of grows up with that dream of like playing at that level, and then once you get to be like a teenager, you kind of start to realize like where you're going to be at and what's realistic and what's not. But definitely it would be nice, but
Now, is that something that you would say like comes down to the coaches you've had and the programs you're in, where like when you're in your like middle school years and high school years, of them saying to you, hey, listen, if you want to be on Team USA, here's what you have to do. Like, is that really what you want to do? Like, did you have that kind of influence, or is it just sort of like individually, it's just a different experience?
I think it really depends on what you take part in. Like when I was 15, I went to nationals camp in Minnesota with like the USA coaches. I think it was like 100 kids or something. But at that point, they kind of give you that that talk. Like if you want to reach this level, like this is what you need to do. But I think if you just like if you're talking about just club coaches or just regular team coaches, no one really kind of has that conversation with you. It's kind of on yourself.
Would you say that's something that really needs to change, like going forward, to help encourage like the female hockey athletes to strive for that? And if they don't make Team USA, you know, does that make them good enough players and talent? And not that's not the right thing I'm trying to say, but like just to grow the sport and get the professional women's side of hockey growing, like the NWHL and that sort of thing.
I think like a bigger push or like more exposure to like if every girl who played hockey as a kid saw a professional women's hockey game, I think that would probably make them realize that it is possible and there is like a higher level to reach for. But it's with only 4 teams, it's kind of hard to get out and see a game. Yeah.
No one really knows about women's hockey. They don't really watch that, I feel like.
Yeah.
But it does need to grow.
Yeah.
Describe what it's like to kind of visit, you know, one of your games, and what's the atmosphere like? What's the arena like? Or do you have a lot of fans that come in? Just kind of break down the experience for us.
Not a lot
Not a lot of fans at all. No.
Most of our fans are our parents. We get a couple local fans.
Yeah. People from the school.
A couple people
Not a
from
lot,
school, some
but
teachers. Our biggest crowd's usually on like youth night when they skate on the ice with us after the game.
Yeah.
But other than that, I wouldn't say we really draw in big crowds.
Yeah.
That's such a bummer. Well, if I'm still here and if you actually have a season, I'm coming. I'm coming to every home game. And I'll make a sign. I'll start
That's my
chants.
neighbor.
Yeah. Those are my neighbors. Go. Yeah. You already think I'm nuts. You might as well let me fly my freak flag at the game, you know. Now, what's it like for the boys there? Like, do they get more of a turnout too?
they get huge
They get a
fan
packed
sections.
house.
Yeah, everyone at the school loves to come to their games.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know.
They
They're better.
I don't know. They like them better.
Yeah, like it's like every sport though. Like all the girls' sports don't have any fans, and so
Yeah.
does the guys. But
That's
probably the biggest sport at our school, but
Yeah.
just for the men, not the
I mean,
women.
they are ranked like top 10.
Yeah, they're
usually,
really
but
good.
They're a really good team,
Yeah.
so they do draw in a lot of fans. And a lot of like local like people will come watch those games every weekend.
It's really disheartening to hear that even still today, like even from several years ago when I was in school, it was the same thing. Like women's sports were not very popular, at least at the school I went to in the South. But to see that that's still the case today, I mean, that just sucks. Is there, like, what would you recommend? Like, what should the school be doing? I mean, hypothetically, obviously, we don't want to badmouth the school you play hockey for, but, you know, what could be done to help make it seem just as exciting? Because I know when I saw Team USA play Team Canada. The only difference I noticed was that the girls have ponytails hanging out the back of their helmets and they have all their teeth. That's the only difference I noticed from women's hockey to men's hockey. So to me, it just seems like crazy that that's the case.
Usually people don't like women's hockey because we don't check like the boys.
It's not as exciting.
Yeah. And they just like think it's a joke.
We don't fight as much.
Yeah, we don't fight basically. So
They also usually promote the men's games more than a women's game.
yeah, like on our Instagram page at school, they only post about the guys' teams, and they only never post about us.
They only post pictures of the men's games.
Yeah.
I'm going to change that if I'm still here. I'll come to every game if you have a season, and I will take pictures for your Instagram and videos, and I will walk around campus and freeze my butt off and tell everybody to go to the women's hockey game. I have no problem.
Oh, thank you.
I can be your crazy lady mascot.
I feel like I could see you like walking around with like flyers like, come to tonight's game. It's awesome. These are my neighbors.
Right? Breezy,
Yeah.
I mean, I could totally do that.
You
And-
can.
Plus, I think, I mean, you girls had an incredible record last season. You went 10-4-2 in the, and correct me if this is wrong, the Colonial Hockey Conference. That's your conference, right?
Yeah.
You made it to the finals, and you've been in the like playoff round in the year before. I would say you guys are pretty good.
We're definitely getting better each year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely each year we get a little bit better. We go a little bit further.
Well, I like how we have obviously 3 different positions on the podcast right now. Now, if you guys weren't playing your current position, what position would you want to play?
If I wasn't a forward, I would probably say defense because I could never be a goalie. I played lacrosse goalie my sophomore year, and I can't do it.
I don't think I have the mentality to play goalie.
Yeah, I
My twin goalie, but I could never do it.
I probably
That's funny.
forward.
A forward.
Yeah.
Well, we had a couple we've had actually, I feel like the majority of the guests that we've had on that were players were goalies. And I feel like it's fair to kind of bring this up because it's always been a hot topic on our goalie podcast, is that it's kind of a well-known fact that goalies are a little weird. Do you have like a weird thing that people are like, okay, that's weird? It could be like superstition, like you have to put like one shoe on over the other shoe, or
I always have to do my left skate, then my right skate, then my left pad, then my right pad. I mean, I do that. But my right arm on the chest protector on before my left. So I guess I'm weird.
Do you girls notice anything that she does that she's just maybe not aware of?
She always eats Reese's Pieces in between periods.
Yeah.
I noticed that.
You have to do that.
oh,
Yeah.
Just because I sit right next to you, I know everything you do.
Do you have anything with your posts? Do you have like tapping, or do you have like a skate out onto the ice kind of thing like Henrik Lundqvist does?
I have like a pattern, I guess, to the post. I always do like blocker, then the top, and then the glove, and then the top again. Yeah, do it after every single whistle.
I have
Huh.
actually.
Yeah.
So it's not so
Cool.
weird, but I guess like we're becoming sort of numb to this, Breezy, where we're just like, yeah, that's a typical goalie kind of thing, yeah.
yeah,
But like,
typical. I mean, we've heard some weird stories, specifically off air, because there was like some really weird stories. But we just kind of like to hear like what people, I don't know, superstitions are, or how they prep and whatnot. So I personally am a left shoe over my right shoe kind of person. So yeah. That's not super weird to me, but it
so
could be
you're
for
not
others.
alone.
You're
You're not
not
alone,
alone.
Julia.
And you also aren't alone in getting taped to, a goalpost and having puck shot at you when you're 5. So that's fine.
Now, do you girls watch NHL? Do you have NHL teams that you follow? Like, who's your team? Are you watching the playoffs? Like, tell us about that.
Yeah, we watch games like every night.
We watch every
almost.
night. I'm a Dallas Stars fan, so I've been watching all their games.
Yeah, I know, whatever.
Yeah.
So how pumped are you as a Stars fan?
It's awesome to see them finally get to the conference finals after like 12 years.
Yeah, not wrong.
What do you think their chances are against Vegas?
I think if they play a little bit better defense, they have a chance.
And what did you guys think of your Bruins loss?
I kind of saw it coming. They always mess it up in the playoffs. I wasn't surprised, but I was really sad. Now I don't really care who wins.
Yeah.
I'm kind of the same boat, I guess. It's one of those things where, I mean, this whole entire season was a little unpredictable, and with the whole playoff situation, I think it is also unpredictable and just kind of weird. Like, it's not playoff hockey in my opinion. Especially with there's no fans there. Like, the guys have to be saying like, okay, this is kind of bogus, but it's weird. It's going to be weird to see who wins or even takes home the Stanley Cup this year.
I mean, the no fans thing, I'm sure you girls are like, whatever, fucking deal with it. Get over it. Welcome to our life. Like, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. We still have a great time on the ice. You NHL boys, you get paid a lot of money. You're fine. No fans.
They'll be okay.
Yeah, they'll be just fine. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Tell us, do you guys have a player you've ever looked up to on the men or women's side as far as like athletically in the hockey space?
Well, I'm obsessed with Chara. I know it's really, no one really likes him, but I'll always love him until the day he goes.
And growing up, I always thought Hillary Knight was like a really good hockey player, especially to watch like the Olympics every couple of years.
My favorite NHL goalies, Pych and then Tuukka.
Tell us, what's the update as of today as far as a season or what you are allowed to say or know thus far about the potential hockey season for this year for you guys?
As of now, I mean, we have a chance to play in January, but we won't really find out for a while. So, we're kind of just we're not practicing now, but soon we'll just be practicing basically, and that's it.
Yeah, with their masks on.
Yeah, October 1st, I think we can start in like small groups with masks on, just practices, but definitely no games until January 1st, the earliest.
Yeah, and they're only allowing like 5 people in the locker room to get dressed at a time.
And then are they going to make you like bubble and not be around other people and like not go to class, or are you allowed to sort of, just live life and you have to just wear a mask on the ice?
They haven't really told us anything along those lines. As of right now, it's just like on campus, everyone has to wear a mask, obviously. And then everything's sort of just limited into small groups right now, but nothing else yet.
So you're saying if I wear a mask and come after practice, Katie can teach me how to skate?
Yeah. Hopefully there's free skate, but yeah, we'll have to find one of those days so we can teach you.
That's a very high priority, okay?
Yeah.
I'll wear a mask, that's fine. And then I need all the pads. Like I might need to borrow Julia's pads just for the initial, like, get my feet figured out on the ice and learn how to stop situation, because I'm very afraid.
I think we'll figure it out. Yeah, we got it.
All right, I'm holding you to it. I will come knock on your door. I know where you live.
Oh, no.
Breezy, you think we should ask them our final 2 questions that we ask all our guests?
Yeah, we can.
You go for it.
All right. So, like Rae Rae said, we ask our guests both of these questions, and the reason why is I run a Instagram account called Hunks of Hockey, and Rae Rae is the hockey lady on Instagram. So, who is your favorite hockey hunk?
Tyler Sagan.
Tyler Sagan. Okay.
Hi, Brad Marchand.
That's a new one.
Really?
That's a new one.
Probably Tyler Sagan too.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
So, who is your favorite hockey lady? I feel like we always get a long pause on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
Lamoureux.
Yeah.
The twins.
I don't know, I like Kendall Coyne.
Yeah. Very nice.
And where can everybody go and follow the team? And if you have individual social media profiles that are public and you want to share, you can shout those out. But if the season starts in January, can everybody listening watch games online? And then where can they keep up to date with everything on social media?
Yeah, if you go to the school's website and the athletics page, you go to the women's hockey tab and they'll have links to games, like live video once games start up.
Instagram's like UNE.
W hockey.
Yeah.
So go find them on Facebook and Instagram. Let's grow their Instagram. Let's get, if they allow fans in the seats in January, let's fill the 20% of fans we're allowed to have in there.
Yeah. I mean, if I was in Maine, I'd go, but it's kind of far from where I'm at currently. Not saying there's no chance, but if I make it to Maine, I will go. But thank you so much for coming on and sharing your individual stories and stories as a team. And we were really excited to bring you on. I wanted to see Rae Rae's neighbors. She was so excited to tell me about you guys. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for coming over to our House of Hockey podcast and hanging out with us. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. And in the meantime, you can follow us on social media. Just look for House of Hockey podcast. We'll be back next week.